And you all know Mrs. Schillen, right? Like this one. Anyway, you are going to get this presentation. Mr. Morrison may have already put it into your Google Classroom, so you can access it later. Because we have a lot of live links in here, so you'll be able to click on the live links and read more about whatever we're trying to tell you about. So I understand this is AP Literature, right? So I'm not going to assume, but perhaps everyone's thinking about secondary plans like college. And some of you may have heard about community college being free starting this year for students who graduate high school or have a GED. It used to be that it was adults 25 and up, but now residents of Massachusetts who have graduated high school or earned a GED, HiSET, are eligible to take courses at community colleges for free, which means if anyone is considering this, it's a great option financially, of course. And if you decided to do community college for a semester, 2 semesters, 3 or 4, you can still take those credits that you earn at the community college and transfer them to a 4-year college. So if it's something that you're considering, it's worthwhile looking into. I know there's a ton of small links on here, but it's an option. It's a very financially sound option that you can consider. And just know that if you did do something like this, whether it be, like I said, a year or 2 years with an associate's, and you transfer to a 4-year college, it could be Providence College, Boston College, Bridgewater State, any 4-year college, when you get your diploma and you earn your degree, it's just going to say your 4-year college name. Not that there's anything to be ashamed of community college, but your 4-year degree will say your final 4-year undergraduate college on there. So just a little bit of information about that. Okay, so I'm looking around at some highly responsible students here, and so I think that you're probably well aware of what your responsibilities may include when it comes to applying for college. So we have a list of what you're responsible for, and I see a lot of faces here who may have been to our Common App boot camp, so you already know the application is your responsibility. You can have us look at it with you if you'd like. You can show your parents. You can get support from anyone to help you fill it out. However, it's something that you fill out and you send. You also fill out your own resume and brag sheet, which we'll get to, but in Naviance, we've already shown you how where the resume is and the brag sheet, which is valuable for recommenders and ourselves for when we write recommendation letters. So those are also things that you do. You send required information, so if anyone is thinking about sending your SAT or ACT scores to colleges, it does have to come directly from you. It doesn't come from us. It does come from you through either the College Board or ACTs. Requesting transcripts and recommendations. So we are asking you, I just sprung this on Mr. Morrison. We want to find out if you're applying early action or early decision, because those are the students we will want to meet with very soon, knowing that your deadlines are coming up. So if you make us aware of your deadlines, we are able to guide you into requesting from us your recommendation letters and your transcript. And so you have to be aware of your own deadlines, and we'll help you with that and move you along, but you have to let us know about them, because as you know, we have a lot of students and you're applying to a lot of colleges, and so in order to keep organized, we have to maintain that communication. And so we will show you how to request those in Naviance also. And if anyone here is considering playing D1 or D2 sports in college, please be aware you do need to fill out the NCAA Clearinghouse, and there is a link on here. And so you can fill that out, register with them. You have to put in your courses to make sure you are eligible to participate in D1 or D2 sports. And of course, again, know when meeting your deadlines, okay? You have to stay on top of it. Any way you want to stay organized, lots of usernames and passwords, lots of different accounts, and a lot of different deadlines. So the more organized you are, the easier this process will be. And what we will do for you, our responsibility, as long as you ask us to, is we'll send your transcript for you. We will send your secondary school report, your first quarter grades, midterm grades, and your final transcript. Along with that, you'll hear about your school profile. We put that with it, and your recommendations if you ask us for one. For any students who have a plan, a 504 or an IEP, if you want to bring that to college with you, that is your responsibility to bring it to the college. We don't automatically send it because, you know, we're not going to assume you want us to. So it is your responsibility to take your plan and you can bring it to your college to see how they can adjust to that setting. Okay. So I had just talked about if you guys are going to be applying early action or early decision. So there are different types of ways to apply to school. You might have heard early action and early decision. Early action, you can apply to a lot of schools early action. It just means you're applying earlier. Some schools have early action, some schools don't. You'll see it in all of your admissions profiles of colleges if they offer it or not. You can apply to as many as you'd like, and you'll find out if you get it or not just earlier. Some will provide decisions as early as around Thanksgiving or Christmas. Others will be early January. Early decision, that's the binding one. So that means you're applying to one school early decision. You're not applying to, you can't apply to more than one school early decision, because early decision means that you are deciding that if you get into this college, you will definitely go there. It's a binding decision. There are some ways in which your family may be able to get out of it for financial purposes, but that's, you know, a unique situation. So make sure that if you're applying early decision, it's a very serious decision. It's something that you have to sign off on, your parents and us. We have to, the colleges want to make sure that they know we've guided you to know that it is a binding decision. So these are the types of early decisions. There's regular decisions. So regular decisions usually start, some do start as early as January 5th or so, but most typically a regular decision deadline would be around February or March. So you have more time to, of course, work on, you know, getting strong grades in your first and second terms of senior year. There's also rolling admission. So rolling admission means you could apply anytime. So let's say you apply to a fair amount of schools early action and you got into some, but you didn't like your financial aid packages, and so you wanted to apply to other schools. Later in the year, there are schools that have rolling admissions. I believe UMass Dartmouth is a school nearby that has rolling admissions, meaning they don't have a hard deadline. It means you can apply anytime leading up until the school year starts. In terms of decisions, so you'll get a decision back after you apply to the college. Accepted, wonderful. It's always great to get an acceptance. Deferred, you may get deferred. It depends on the type of college. If they're going to defer you from regular early action into their regular decision application pool. Then there's waitlisted. Waitlisted means you do meet all of the criteria that they would want in a student to go there, except they already offered it to their maximum amount of students, and they need to wait to hear back to see who will decide to go to that school, and then they will open up their waiting list. So we can talk more about this when you get your decisions. If you are waitlisted, we would recommend to put a deposit on another school just in case that waitlist is not open. And then denied. And denied's okay. It's part of life. And there's many schools that you can apply to and get into, so it's okay. It's going to be okay if you get denied, because we're going to guide you into applying to more than one school. We'll help you find, like we talked about last year, good schools that are a good match, a safety school. So there's a good fit for everyone here. Some schools do have a priority deadline depending on major. So for example, we find that nursing programs and sometimes physical therapy programs have a different deadline than perhaps the regular college. So that's very school specific. So we need to make sure that you stay on top of those deadlines, okay? And now this is going to be Mrs. Tremblett talking about Naviance. So, because everyone had a chance to get into their Naviance account, does anyone need help getting into it? Because she's going to be talking about it and we want you to be navigating it, and we'll come around as you're doing it to see if you need any help.
I also posted the slides and the link to the form that Ms. Payne was talking about for early applications. It's in the stream of our class.
So only fill that out if you are going to apply early, okay? If you're thinking about January dates and later, you don't have to fill it out. We're going to meet with you one-on-one no matter what early this fall, but only fill that out if you are applying early, okay?
All right, so Mrs. Tremblett here. Everybody remembers their username and password to get into Naviance, correct? Okay, so I am going to cover the technological piece of applying to college today. So I thought it would be good, or we thought it would be good if you guys all got onto Naviance and actually walked through this while I explain everything, okay? So what I want everybody to do is to get into Naviance, and then per the visual up here, you want to click on the colleges I'm thinking about tab. So if you remember, this is what we worked on last year, developing the college list of schools that you think you might want to apply to when you were a senior. So hopefully you guys have at least 1 or 2 schools in there. And I'm going to show you how to move them into the colleges I'm applying to list today, because that's actually the only section of Naviance that you can actually manage transcripts, letters of recommendation, etc.
So is everybody there on?
But one of the things that I want to
You're having-
make sure that everybody knows is that there's 2 ways to get into Naviance. One is the faculty login, and we're finding a lot of students are trying to log into the wrong Naviance login. So always know that if it doesn't ask you for the zip code of the school, then you're in the wrong login. So you should always be prompted to type in the zip code for DR, which is 02764.
Don't try it a lot of times because it will disable. You just try it 1 or 2 times and then say forgot password. If you're struggling, just raise your hand.
Is anybody need more time logging into Naviance? Okay, all right, so everybody's on the colleges I'm thinking about. And so the next thing we're gonna do here is where it says check box of college you wanna move from thinking about to applying to, and it'll prompt you to choose your application deadline and type. Okay, so if there's any schools on your colleges I'm thinking about list that you're like definitely going to apply to this year, you want to click on that box, and then you want to follow the prompts to move it to your colleges I'm applying to list. So it's going to ask you a series of questions. One being, what's your application type? Are you going to apply regular decision? Are you going to apply early decision? Are you going to apply early action? That's what Mrs. Payne was just talking to you guys about. So it's not something that's etched in stone. You can change it later if you want to. So at this time, if you want to just take any of those colleges and move them over and just put in a type that you think you're going to use right now. It's also going to ask you if you want to request a transcript. You could certainly do that if you're applying early action like November 1st. But if you're applying regular decision like December 1st, January 1st, February 1st, you don't want to be requesting a transcript right now because the college is expecting to see your first quarter grades on that transcript if you're applying regular decision, so you want to wait on that. So there's 2 options. One is to select add college, and then the second option is add college and request a transcript. So now, once you've done that, we're going to look under the colleges I'm applying to tab. At the top, we're moving out of colleges I'm thinking about into colleges I'm applying to. And this is where you're going to be working on your college stuff this year. Okay, we're no longer going to be in colleges I'm thinking about anymore. So, if there's colleges that you want to add to your list, you can click on the red plus sign up here and add the college that you're thinking about applying to this year. And that will add that into this little platform here. So right now, this student has 6 colleges in here. And as you can see, it's telling you what the application type is, which you will identify for your particular situation. This person's applying regular decision, so it automatically populates the deadline of the school. And it also tells you whether you've requested a transcript and what the status of that transcript is. And then it also tells you the submission type. So CA means Common App. So this particular person has 6 applications, 5 of which all take a Common App. So it would be most likely the student would be applying through Common App because that's what all the colleges take. With 1 postage symbol, which means that they want everything mailed, which is not common. All right, so does everybody have a handful of schools in the colleges I'm applying to list? Yes? All right, so letters of recommendation. So, most colleges require at least one letter of recommendation, if not more. Some don't require any, but it really just depends on the college. The more competitive the school, the more letters they want, and the more specific letters they'll ask for. So we just want you to be familiar with the process, and that is you ask the teacher first. So if you're going to ask Mr. Morrison, you're going to say, hey, Mr. Morrison, just wondering if you'd write me a letter before you actually go into Naviance and request it, because you don't want them getting an email from you without you having talked to them. And the reason why that is because many teachers have a cap on how many letters they write. So once they reach 20 letters, they're not writing anymore. So you want to make sure that they haven't met that threshold. Also, some teachers, may for one reason or another not feel comfortable writing you a letter. So you want to just make sure before you request it in Naviance that you talk to the teacher first. All right. The other thing is you need to have your resume done in Naviance when you're asking a teacher for a letter, because once you invite them to your Naviance account, they're going to be able to see your resume and be able to write you a letter. A lot of teachers in this building will not write you a letter without your resume being done in Naviance, okay? So if you're at that point where you're applying early action and you're asking teachers for letters, then your resume should be done, complete, and ready to go in Naviance, okay? You want to make sure that your colleges are listed in your Naviance account when you're asking your teachers for letters of recommendation, because they need to know where they're sending it to. Okay? A lot of kids will ask for letters and they'll have like 2 colleges in there, which is fine because you're still working on your list. But if you notice that your teacher sent the letter already to those 2 schools and then you add 5 more, you need to reach out to your teacher and let them know, like, hey, I just put 5 more colleges in there, would you mind sending those off?
Let's say October 15th, right, the decision.
All right, please remember to give your recommenders a thank you note. This is something they do outside of school, and it's a really good practice to be grateful for your teachers who are taking time to write really nice things about you. Some students will have recommenders outside of DR that they're writing, maybe an employer, a coach from another school, and those you cannot request through Naviance because Naviance is only for DR faculty. So our recommendation is that you get their email and that you put their information in the Invite Recommenders section of Common App, which is the name that we'll go over when she gets to the Common App section. There are some teachers who are comfortable with that, or coaches, and you can always have them email the admissions office and just send the letter there, or you can give them a stamped envelope for them to mail it directly to the college. All right, so resume, all of you should know where the resume is. We went over this in detail last year. It's under the About Me tab. Under resume, that's where you're gonna complete it. It's very user-friendly. You just type in the information, click on the red plus sign for the topic that's applicable to you, and then it'll automatically populate it into a resume. So that's that, and then we have the brag sheet, which is also under the About Me section, and it's under surveys from your school, so that's the second tab you would hit, and then you're gonna see a brag sheet. So this is required for a guidance counselor recommendation. Any student who needs a guidance counselor recommendation or their school requires it, then you need to complete the brag sheet. Okay, it's a series of questions that we ask about you, because our letters from guidance counselors are written about your 4-year experience. They're about things that you've gone through in your life, things that teachers wouldn't normally comment on. Oftentimes we have students who may have had something happen during their 4 years, whether it was an unfortunate circumstance or a reason why they got a bad grade that we explain. So the more detail that you include in those questions, the better your letter is going to be. And the more we're going to know what you want us to touch upon in our letters. All right. So requesting a letter of recommendation in Naviance. So once you've talked to the teacher, they've agreed to write it. You'll be a guidance counselor as well. You're going to come in here and you're going to click on the tab letters of recommendation, which is under the college tab. So if you guys want to try doing that, you don't have to put in a letter of recommendation request today, but I would like you to know how to do it because I've been getting a lot of emails lately with kids asking how to do this. So college tab, letters of recommendation. Then you're going to click add new request. And then in the pull down menu, you'll see all of the teachers here in the building. There's a couple teachers that aren't in there yet that emailed just the other day to add them, so those will be added today or tomorrow. All right, so who would you like to write this recommendation? You're going to identify that. Then the next step is identifying where do you want them to send your letter. So there are colleges who require or only allow one letter. And if you have 3 people writing you a letter, you need to decide who it is that you want to send that letter to. That college only accepts 1. So that's where this comes into play. Specific request and general request. And then below, once your colleges are in there, it'll tell you in Naviance how many letters they will accept. Okay, some will accept 5, some will accept 2, some will accept 0. So you have to be mindful of that and mindful when you're selecting your teachers where you want them to go. Because the way it works at Naviance is whoever uploads their letter first is the one that goes to the college if you only have 1 letter. If the college only allows 1.
Has anyone in here asked a teacher in person yet and they've agreed to it? Okay. Well, you can add them now then. Now's the right time to add them. And like Ms. Tremblett said, you can select all colleges or you can do specific requests. But if all of your colleges allow 3 each and you ask 2, then you can select general requests. You don't have to click on each individual college. Sometimes it's more streamlined if you do general requests, as long as you know all of your colleges accept as many letters as you're requesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Great. All right, and then the last thing is just a personal note that you can include. It's not required. You can still submit it without it, but it's just a note to just say, hey, Mr. Morrison, I have a deadline on November 1st. Just want to give you a heads up when you write my letter that you know I'm applying early and I just need it done by then. Or you might want to say, I know I struggled in this class, but I know I really turned out a good grade last year and persevered. Really love for you to talk about that in your letter. Okay? So that's it for letters of recommendation. Now we're going to talk about requesting transcripts. I kind of talked about it a little bit, just letting you know that when you're adding the colleges into your colleges I'm applying to list, there is an option there where you can request a transcript as you're adding the college. But again, you can choose to do it that way, or you could do it in this section, which is called Manage Transcripts, where you would click on the colleges tab, click Manage Transcripts, and then you just need to know that there is 2 options. It's called College Application Transcript and Other Transcript. College Application is the one you obviously can select. Other just means that if you're sending it to a scholarship or some other place, so you typically would not be selecting that. And then 3 is you always want to select an initial transcript, okay? Because once you make an initial transcript request, we will always continue to send your grades to that college throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, you're going to identify what college you're attending and we'll send a final transcript. You don't even need to request that. And then you just need to identify what college that you're requesting your transcript to be sent to. Some kids just send all the transcripts out at the same time. Some kids do some early action, regular decisions, so that's why it's there to select.
And just so you know, you guys, a big question that comes to us is, I haven't submit my application yet because my teachers didn't send in my recommendation, or I didn't submit my application yet because we didn't send your transcript yet. So just so you know, your application lands there first. An account is only open for you at the college when your application and your fee is received. Once it's received, Cyberspace will allow the recommendation letter to pour in and your transcript, okay? So don't wait for anyone. You apply when you're ready, and then if you did the right things, like request your letter of recommendation and request your transcript, it'll get sent right then, so you don't have to wait for any of that, okay?
All right, has anybody done any of the college visits at all? Awesome.
Kira.
Great job.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Hopefully you guys found them helpful. So we do have a whole bunch of college reps coming in I know that some of you didn't know about it, but hopefully with the blast of information we've given you recently, you all know. You go into Naviance, you register there, you show your teacher your pass, I mean not pass, but your appointment that you have with the college rep, and then you go down to media where they are. Also in this packet that we gave you, on the back of the senior college checklist is a printout of all of the colleges that are going to be here. So you can kind of just have a little list that you can peruse and see if there's something on there that you might want to go into Naviance and register for. But these are the actual admissions reps that are reading your application, so it's a really good opportunity for you to get to know that person if it's a school that you're really interested in. All right. So I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Maven, who's going to talk about the Common App.
Okay, so a number of you went to the college Common App boot camp, which we had before school. So if you did do that and this is going to be more of a refresher for you, you can actually, while I'm talking, you can listen as I go along, but you can also work in your Common App at this time, or work maybe on your brag sheet, or work on your resume, okay? For those of you that did not attend the Common App boot camp, I'm going to go over this right now. So I want you to all create a Common App account if you have not done so already. So open up another tab. So you can save Naviance open. Keep Naviance open, but open up another tab, and you're going to put in commonapp.org. So there are two types of applications that are most common that we use in this area of the United States. One is the Common App that goes to many, many schools, over 1,000 colleges across the country. And the other is what's called direct to institution. So that means that the college doesn't use the Common App, but they have an application on their website. So the great thing about the Common App is you do one application and then you can send it to all these different colleges that also use it. All right, so you're not doing 5 different college applications. You're doing one application that goes to many, okay? But if your school doesn't use it, you have to do the application on their website, all right? So once you get onto the account, you're going to click on to create an account if you haven't created one already. And then it's going to prompt you to say, let's get started. And in that section, you're going to check on first year student. Once you click on first year student, you're going to create an account. Do not use your school email. Use a personal email, because we do have a firewall at the school with your student email from school. So make sure you're using a personal email, because we want to get information back from that college. Sometimes, nowadays, colleges are actually sending your acceptance by email. Okay, so you want to make sure you're using the correct email. I just want to give you a minute to create that account. If you haven't created it, let me know if you need more time. And make sure that you're saving this password, okay? Because there's students all across the nation using the Common App, and sometimes it gets bogged up and you don't want to forget your password and then not be able to get into it again. So make sure you're even writing it down, maybe in your phone or in your folder. Write down your username and password. Okay? I move on. Anybody need more time? I'll move on. So once you've created an account, you will come to a page that has 5 tabs at the top. The first tab is the dashboard. That's going to have a list of all the schools that you enter into here. To enter a college into the Common App, you're going to click on the 4th tab there that says College Search. So everybody click on the 4th tab that says College Search, And at this time, I want you to add one college. You can always delete it if you decide not to apply there, but for the purposes of learning how to use this, I'd like you to add one right now. So you're going to add college in there. Make sure you have the right state, because there are 2 Bridgewaters, there are 2 Salem states in different parts of the country. So make sure you're using the right one when you pick it, okay? Once you've picked that and you've added it, it will go onto your dashboard page.
The college that I'm looking for isn't on here.
So it either, I'm going to have this,
Yeah, it might be,
you might not take it, or you might be
yeah,
spelling
that's
it
right.
wrong. Yep, okay. You do have to write out University of Massachusetts. You can't just write UMass, unfortunately, okay? All right, moving on. The next tab that I want to make you aware of is the Common App tab. This is the application. So the 3rd tab over is the actual application. If you look up here, you can see there's a green arrow below. All those sections need to be completed in this application. It's going to take you a while, and it should. You want to do this well. So you're going to go through each section and add different information, your profile, your family information. You might need to sit down with mom and dad, find out some of the information from them. You're going to go through the education piece. You're going to go through the testing. You're going to add your activities in there, which you can refer to your resume in Naviance and copy paste. And you're going to put in an essay. Your overall essay for every school. You're going to put that in there. When you completed a section, you'll see a little green check box. You want all that whole section to have a green check box before you can submit it to a college, okay? I'm gonna make sure that you have the information in the education piece right now, because that piece is really important. So everybody click on education. And we're gonna start working on that section right now. So the first thing you need to add is the school that you are currently at. So Dighton Rehoboth Regional High School. You can start typing that, it should come right up, because if you put in your address, it's going to populate schools around this area. Or you can put in our CEEB code, which is also in your folder. So sometimes you need that for other things. If you ever see CEEB code, it's a code that is direct to our school. All right? It's up here in the yellow. It's also in your folder.
The inside page of your folder is the information.
Yeah. Okay, the next thing down after that, you've got that in there. You're going to put date of entry, so September 2021, unless you transferred here, which you want to put in the date that you transferred into school. You're going to put in, you're going to check off the box, is this a boarding school? No, it's not. Just keep going down and answering those questions. I'm going to answer a few questions for you now, because some of them are particular to our school. So our GPA, when you get to the GPA and rank section, our GPAs and ranks are weighted. So that's an answer in the drop-down. Okay, so make sure you're putting in weighted. Our GPA is on a 100-point scale. So when you do the drop-down for that, you're looking for 100. Your GPA is on your transcript, which we just handed to you. So it could be 92, 88, 100. If it's a 101, you're still putting that down on a scale of 100, okay? Another section I want to point out is the rank. Our rank is weighted. It's recorded as a decile, okay? So some of you in here may be in the top 5%, but Common App doesn't allow us to do that. So you have to put in decile, and you'll have to put in top 10%, okay? But they get your transcript, so they'll know you're top 5%, and that goes with 15 too. Everybody else, if you're top 20, top 30, top 40, that's what you'll put in, okay? I don't think we separated any more than that. So that explains the education piece that I think you need to know. The other thing, just for this class of 2025, there's 171 students in this class. So if you're looking for the amount of students that are here in your class, it's 171. Okay. So, as you can imagine, this is going to take some time for you to complete. So you're going to work on this at home, in our individual meetings. If you have questions, you're going to ask your guidance counselor. We can go through it with you more individually.
And if you have a question between now and whatever your individual appointment is and you want to get moving, just email us. We can get back to you. Don't save it all for then. We can help you whenever you need it.
Sure. So the next tab I'm going to point out is the My Colleges tab. So it's the second tab. So if you can click on that, this will list all the schools that you're going to apply to, that you have put in to Common Apple. If you click on one school, as this PowerPoint shows, the University of Massachusetts, the body of this has a ton of information about the school. Okay, so it starts with the application deadlines, so you can see that. There are links to different things on their website. The application fee is there, the testing policy is there, the number of recommendations you might need are there. There's a lot of information just on the main page for that specific school. Okay? There's also, if you look to the left, specific questions for each school. So you have to click on questions in the gray box underneath your school and answer the questions for each one, each school. Okay, so the common application page goes to every school, but this page goes only to the specific school. And this is also where eventually, if you've completed the application, you've completed the questions, you will review and you'll submit your application. Okay? Pay the fee, you sign electronically, and you send it. The other thing on this page that you'll see is the recommenders and FERPA. So when we were talking about how DR is a Navient school, you can see underneath invite recommenders, you do not use that for your DR teachers and counselors. You only use this for outside recommenders. This is where you might put in an employer's email or a coach's email if you need another recommendation from somebody else that does not work here at DR. Okay? So that invite button right there would be where that is. The other thing that we need to do today is we need to sign the FERPA, which is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. So everybody click on the View Release Authorization button if you haven't done this already. So that's the blue, not the bottom blue, the top blue. View Release Authorization. You're going to click on that. And you'll come to a page that looks like this. Okay? So the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act is asking you to, if you give us the right as your school to send your transcript and your letters of recommendation without you checking them over every single time you want them sent, okay? That you know we're going to send them out. So you're authorizing that every school that you have attended, you're allowing us to release those records and send them to the colleges, okay? So you check that box, and then it says, do I waive my right to review all of these supporting documents before they're sent, or do I not waive my right to review? Okay? On this PowerPoint, I do have a link to explaining that a little bit more, but it also states by waiving your right, this lets the colleges know that you do not intend to read your recommendations, which helps them feel reassured that your letters are candid and truthful. So a lot of admissions counselors are telling us that sometimes they will not read them if you don't waive your right to read them before they're sent, okay? And some recommenders, and this is what it says right there, some recommenders can refuse to write your letter if you don't waive your right. So we do encourage you to waive your right to read your letters of recommendation, but again, that's up to you. But I think you wouldn't ask a teacher for a letter of recommendation if you didn't think they were going to write something good for you. I've never seen anybody write anything for you, okay? So if you can make that decision now, you're going to check I authorize, and then you're going to select one of those, I waive my right or I do not waive my right. If you want more time to think about it, you can do that too. And then you're going to check, I understand that my waiver and no waiver section above pertains to all the colleges to which I apply to. And that my selections on this page cannot be changed once I invite my first recommender, okay? And then you're going to sign it. You're going to write your name electronically and then click the date. If you click on the calendar, the date will automatically come up and you submit it. This has to be done before you request a letter of recommendation from a teacher, okay? Or they can't write it, all right? Okay. So the next piece is matching Naviance and Common App. So if you go back to Naviance, everybody go back to Naviance, and you go under your colleges I'm applying to, you'll see in pink, and there's a little pink button or red that says match accounts. You're going to click there, and when you click there, it's going to come up with a space for you to add in your email and password for Common App again. Once you do that, it should match. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that if you haven't done that already. Because we want those recommendations to be able to go to the Common App. And this is how we match them. Other thing I wanted to point out. On the Common App, if you see the right-hand side, there's a shaded blue bubble. You can see that every single page that you're on does give you some information if you need help, if you're not understanding. You can click in there and they can help you, support you. Okay, you can read through what you're not getting and it'll give you some answers to those questions that you might have. The other resource that you have up there is the financial aid resources, the FIC tab, and that will also provide links right to the FAFSA, okay, and about each school. All right. So that's a quick overview of the Common App. I'm going to let Mrs. Payne talk about testing.
All right, so who here has taken a standardized test? Not MCAS, I mean SAT or ACT. Okay. So, those of you who did, if you like your scores and you compare them to what this college typically accepts, and it's a test optional school, it's entirely up to you if you want to submit it or not. Admissions counselors keep telling us over and over again, they've reassured us many times that it really doesn't matter. It's totally optional, it's totally up to you, it will not hold back your application. As humans do, if you send in a score that's a little bit under what they're used to seeing, maybe in the back of their head, it'll be like in their subconscious, like, okay, everything else here looks good, but this wasn't up to par. So if you're questioning it, ask one of us and we can show you. I mean, I just Googled it with another student to see what the average SAT and ACT scores are. And as you can imagine, math will tell us that the less students who are submitting their scores, obviously they're submitting great scores. So now these schools that used to accept students with like a 1200 SAT are now looking at students with more like a 1300 or so. So it has changed a lot since schools became optional, but it's up to you. You can self-report. You'll see in Common App that you can self-report your scores. A lot of times schools will allow self-reporting, Some will require that you send them through College Board or ACT, and some schools will only say you need to submit them upon acceptance. So it just depends on each school.
It's also, just so you know, if you self-report it in the Common App, remember that application goes to all. So you're reporting those scores to all. So
Right.
you're just gonna be careful. If you
Yeah.
don't wanna send them to everybody, you can just say, no, I'm not self-reporting my scores.
Exactly. So let's just say you're applying to like a really high-end school, and you really, and a school that's lower academically, and you only want that one school to see your scores. That's when you would take the opportunity to send your scores directly from College Board or ACT just to that one school. Like Ms. Mayman said, if you self-report there, everyone sees everything on your Common App. So never put anything on your Common App, that Common App tab, that's school specific. That's really a pet peeve of colleges, as you can imagine, saying something about one school and yet all schools are receiving them, okay?
In your packet, there are the testing dates that we've included in there. If you're looking to take it a second or a third time, there are all the testing dates in here for SAT. And we are a testing site for the November test, so if you wanted to take it at DR, that would be the one to sign up for. And then the ACT ones are right here.
If you're not sure if the colleges you're looking at are optional for testing, we do have a link right here to see if they are or not. And of course, you'll see on their admissions page if they require them, and you'll see on Common App if they require them or not. Some majors do require them, so I know we touched on that earlier. So some majors do, like nursing, physical therapy, engineering. Some majors will want them, so it just depends on what you're looking to do. So follow-up. We understand you guys receive a lot of technology input. Your phone is always giving you information, social media-wise, Google Classroom, teachers sending you things, text messages, like there's so much. This is a really important time for you to be checking your email, both school, of course, and your personal email. Because colleges may receive your application and you may have forgotten to ask us to send your transcript or recommendation letter. So UMass Amherst might say, thank you for your application, your account is not ready to be reviewed. You still need to submit recommendation letters, transcript, school profile, and Common App form. So we won't know that. That email is sent directly to you using the Common App email that you provided. So it's very important. Maybe take some time and unsubscribe to a bunch of things in your personal email account so it's not so cluttered. But it is very important to stay on top of that. If you're wondering, you get an email like that, let's say, and you looked in your account and we've already sent your transcript, recommendation letters, all of that, and they're saying they don't have something, you can call them and say, my guidance counselor said they sent everything, and they'll say, oh yes, we're behind, we've received 30,000 applications, we'll update that now. That's usually the case. Their offices can't keep up sometimes, and so it's a little delayed, but it's okay to ask them. There's always an admissions person ready to take those questions and update your account for you.
And they love to hear from the student themselves.
Right. So, a lot of times students will have a little bit of time after school between, school ending and practice starting. You can make a call then. A lot of students do have phones. If you don't, you can come to our offices and use ours. But they do want to hear from you, not your guardians anymore, because next year they will not be allowed to talk to them at all. It's all on you as a student that goes to that school. Here's a ton of information on financial aid. So I know a lot of families are very eager to learn more about that. So all of these links are live. You can click on all of them. You need to be aware of FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A, that's the federal financial aid, CSS profile, lots of acronyms here, but that is meant for finding funding for private colleges. And we do have a representative coming from a Massachusetts Finance Authority who will present to families on the night of parent-teacher conferences. So,
Before
October 10th.
is it on here? Oh, there, no?
October 10th, it's at 5 o'clock in the Media Center before parent-teacher conferences.
We have someone who's coming to speak to families specifically about financing post-secondary schooling. So it would be a really good idea to attend that. If you can't, of course, there's lots of information here. Scholarships do come to DR for our DR students. and that will be posted in Naviance and in the Guidance Center. So looking ahead, starting next week, we're going to start our planning with you guys. So please make sure if you're planning on early action or early decision that you filled out the form that Mr. Morrison posted in your classroom. So then we know that those are the students we should be meeting with next week or the week after. But you all will be met with before Thanksgiving. We'll get to everybody. And look to meet some college reps. Even if you know you're applying there, you don't need to be convinced to apply there. Go to the visit, because oftentimes that is the person who reads your application, so it's nice to do a little networking. And the financial aid part of our parent-teacher conferences. So the college visit form, if anyone is going to be visiting colleges during a school day, you do have excused absences if you were to do that. One form is in your packet, but you can come to Guidance to get more. So you have your parents sign it, then you bring it to school and have us sign it. Then you go on your college visit, you have whoever you meet with at that school seal it, stamp it, attach something to it so that you can bring it back to our main office, Mrs. Rodriguez, and she can excuse your absence for that day. So there's one in there, you can use that one, and then for subsequent ones, come to the Guidance Center and you can get more. They're right behind right behind the door as soon as you walk into the right.
And then in pure Mrs. Schillen fashion, we have a pink scholarship form that she would like filled out for anybody that has a scholarship that they're applying to, and they need a transcript or they need letters of recommendation or whatever it is that they need. I know it's really early on in the year, but this will be something that you will be thinking about in the coming months. So if you have a scholarship, you need things that need to go with it, you need to fill this out and give it to Mrs. Schillen, and she will take care of it.